Hello, everybody, and welcome to the HouseAtWork.com Home Repair Clinic podcast. Jim Salmon here.
Peter Schick here.
How are you today?
You know, I'm doing good. I can't complain.
Weather's hot, and it's a good time for home repair. And
Yeah, it is.
Now, I love it when you send me little texts during the week,
Yep.
and you say, okay, hey, what about this podcast? Can
Yep.
we,
Yep.
Well, this is a great idea. Home inspector stories, which come from me, and real estate agent stories, which come from you.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we covered the whole fight between the two,
Yep,
but
yeah.
these are actual examples of great stuff that has happened to me and happened to you over time. Now, who wants to start? You?
Well, first thing I wanted to do was some of our listeners had sent us some emails.
Okay, all right.
And so if you recall the wet basement episode,
Yep.
we had a listener. His name's Joe. He had a question for us. And here it is. It says, hello. I usually catch your show on Wham Radio, and I just listened to your wet basement podcast. Great stuff. Guess what? I have a wet basement that really needs help. The house is near Salmon River in Pulaski. It sits for the most part on top of a hill, but there's water running through the basement. Most of the year I can actually see a current in the channel.
Whoa.
Oh boy. I am installing new gutters and grading, but I am also thinking that I want to install drainage tile so that I am not just diverting the water to a different part of the yard. Or worse, I don't want it to flood my septic tank. My question is, how deep should I place the drainage tile? I'm planning on using a 6-inch perforated black polyline. The soil in that area is sandy loam. Should I also backfill the trench with some stone before filling it back in with soil?
That's a tough one
Yeah, I was
because
thinking about that too.
sand allows water penetration quicker and faster than anything else.
Yep.
Like clay, not so much. Sand just passes through. It's like
Yeah,
the
exactly.
bottom of an aquarium, right? So the right thing to do is go to the bottom of the foundation. I mean,
Yeah.
and with sand, you got to dig yourself a 12-foot hole out. You know, I
Yep.
mean, it's not like you can just dig a trench, put it in, and fill it back up again. The problem is water passes through the sand at a pretty good clip. And if you don't get all the way down, then you're wasting your time. I mean, if you put it down 2 feet or whatever, you'll get a little bit from runoff and whatever, but it's not going to do the job.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
You know, when you hire a landscaper guy to lay these things out, they use a transit, they figure out where it should go. He's right. You don't want it anywhere near your leach field or your septic area.
Oh, yeah.
I see
Then
that
you
all the
have
time.
a host of other issues
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
And it's, you know, that's up there. Pulaski's up there in the Adirondacks, sort of. And
Yep.
And there's all kinds
Yeah, it's
of.
like Tug Hill area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's like a ton of contractors up there that would do something like this. Now, if he's doing it himself, my advice to him is to go out and talk to people first. I'm all for do-it-yourself. All for do-it-yourself.
Yeah, but if you're in over your head, I mean, you're just going to cause more damage.
have to do your homework. And, you know, even start with YouTube. There's tons of videos on how to do this type of thing.
That is always where I go to if I have some issue, if I'm doing a DIY
me
thing.
too.
That's just where I go. I mean, and most of the time it'll be able to answer, I'd say 80% of my questions.
I like the idea that he's using 6-inch perforated hand core instead of 4-inch. Captures a lot more water, and if it's
Yep.
pitched and properly set up, it's a great way to drive up a moisty basement, especially on a hill.
Nice. Nice. Okay, great. So that answers Joe's question, and then I'll go to another one. There's another comment we had from our household pests episode, and a listener said, "Jim and Peter, I just listened to your episode 5 and the part about what to do with when you trap an animal. A few years ago, I had a problem with chipmunks and bought a have-a-heart trap, which turned out to be very productive. I got rid of a whole colony of them that had built condos underneath my AC compressor. Anyway, when I bought the trap, the young lady at the store mentioned that they had a similar situation there, and they were catching chipmunks on a regular basis. I asked her what they did with them, and she answered rather sheepishly, they're not very good swimmers.
Yes, exactly. I love it.
I get a chuckle out of her response. A 5-gallon pail of water does the trick, and you don't have to take them miles away to release. By the way, our son lives in Massachusetts, and he says that if you catch them there, you have to kill them. There's a significant fine if you get caught doing a catch and release. I guess there's a concern about spread of disease. And I've read in the paper about mice and chipmunks being primary carrier of ticks.
That's actually a good idea. Now in New York State, it's not like that.
Yeah, I don't think so.
If they catch you with a live thing, you're taken to a judge. you're found guilty immediately. The sentence is death to be carried out
Done.
instantly.
Done.
Yeah. No,
Repossessing your house. Yeah.
it's against the law in New York State to transport wild animals. So therefore, it isn't against the law to take a chipmunk to heaven.
Uh-huh.
And, you take a 5-gallon, I have one of these things. It works wonderful. I use a 6-gallon bucket because it gets a little longer way and you can get more peanut shells in there.
Yeah.
So you fill it up about halfway, you run a dowel across there with a little ramp, and you sprinkle peanuts in there, regular unshelled peanuts. And they dive in there, boom, done.
Yeah.
And it's great. And sometimes it's a multiple deal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I guess that's really based on the homeowner's preference. Then,
I mean,
in that case.
I've seen people harvest them with darts.
Uh-huh.
Some people.
Wait, you mean like one of those like blow
No.
like from like the Amazon or something? that you
No, but
blow
that's
to?
a great idea. One of them, there are championship darts.
Okay.
I mean,
Oh, like throwing darts, like in a bar or
like in a
something.
bar.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So you can hone your dart throwing skills by chipmunks.
I gotta give it to you. If you could actually get a chipmunk with a dart,
Yeah.
and not just wound it, but like, hey, boom,
yeah,
done,
yeah.
lights out. I mean, that takes some.
That's
skill.
amazing. Yeah.
That takes some skill. So that's our listener feedback there.
All right, great.
So getting back to what we were discussing before about interesting stories. I mean, how do you feel? I could start if you want.
Yeah,
to.
go ahead, fire it away.
Okay, so I got to give a little background information on this first. Me and my wife, we live in a 3-unit home. So
Okay.
we live in a triplex, and we live in a two-bedroom apartment in that triplex that we own. And this was like beginning of 2014. And another background piece is I was in the Marine Corps for 12 years. I did Iraq, Afghanistan, did all that, got out at beginning of 2014. And so I had just gotten out of the Marine Corps. We're living in our 3-unit, in one of the units, and the upstairs apartment becomes vacant. So we got to find somebody else to rent it to. And typically what I do is I give like a military discount or a military discount or a firefighter, police, whoever. I'll usually take some money off the rent.
Because that's your value.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Perfect.
and so
Love it.
And they're usually very reliable people.
Mm-hmm.
They pay on time, and also they're just exactly. I think it's just a good.
You have
thing,
a common interest and a common.
Exactly.
whatever,
I think it's just the right thing to do. So we advertise that on Craigslist, on Zillow, and all the other places where you typically advertise in a empty apartment. And so we have this one couple come through. And he says, "Oh yeah, I'm military. I'm a commander in the Navy. I'm getting stationed here, and all this." I'm like, "Oh, okay." He had the swagger of it, and he really spoke it. And you could
Clean
almost
cut,
feel-
haircut, and a whole bit, or what?
yeah, but the thing was, he was a little overweight. But
Okay.
the thing is I've seen overweight people in the Navy before, so I'm kind of like, well, that doesn't necessarily
That's
mean
great.
you're not in.
All right.
Just means, hey, whatever, you just stopped caring, or I don't
Yeah.
know, your command is not really enforcing things. And so I'm kind of like, all right, that's weird, but okay. I've seen overweight people even in the Marine Corps, so that's not like, okay, whatever.
Right.
That kind of just rolls off my back. And then he also says he's a pilot too. He was a pilot, but then he has glasses on too, and I'm like, well,
Not
you
too many
know,
military pilots wearing glasses.
yeah,
right?
maybe he's a navigator. I don't know.
Okay.
Like, you don't
All right.
need as good of sight to be a navigator. But he really talks it up, and we usually screen our tenants. And my wife, she usually does that part. But for this case, she didn't. I guess she just felt that the
Comfortable
confidence,
and whatever you
Exactly.
Somebody was standing there. It's all good.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so I guess she got the same vibes I was getting, and she didn't do what we normally do, which is screen everybody, check the credit, references, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, okay, cool, let's do this. Yeah, you can move in here. And the other kind of red flag when I look back on it was like he was moving in with his girlfriend who he knew for like 2 months, which is kind of like, wow, things are moving pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Well-
2 months. I mean, that's pretty quick to be moving in with somebody.
Yeah.
Although
Well, let's table that part of it, and
We
we'll
will.
analyze that again.
yeah, that's another piece there. So I'm
All
kinda
right,
like,
now
okay.
Peter continues.
Yes. So he moves in, and so we're getting. It's been like a few weeks, and now the first month's rent is due, and so he gives us a check, and so I go and cash the check, and it bounces, and I'm like, okay, there's something wrong with now. There's something really wrong with this
Now,
picture.
did he sign a lease with you?
Yes, he did.
Okay. How long was the lease?
It was a 1-year lease.
Okay. All right.
And so I knew there was something wrong here. He said he is a commander in the Navy who had like 30 years in. Okay, commanders in the Navy don't bounce checks, okay? Especially because the thing is...
Well, they only do once then. And they're not, okay.
Exactly. That doesn't happen. And especially if he has a security clearance and all this other stuff, if he can't pay... If he has so much debt where a $900 check is causing problems...
Right.
I mean,
There's a bigger problem
there's there's some real issues. And so and then the next thing was I see him, and it was like a Thursday night or something. He's going out to dinner in like his uniform. He puts on his full dress uniform just after work, going out to dinner in his uniform,
All right.
which is highly unusual. Like when I was in, it's like, okay, when I come home, I'm
gone with the uniform.
yeah, I'm just gonna be a normal human being, put on regular civilian attire, and do whatever I'm gonna do. But he's purposely putting this on and then going out. But it's not so much that piece that really did it for me. It was all of his decorations, where he just had this massive stack of them, and they made no sense. It was like,
I mean, you know what decorations are.
Yeah, I know all the medals and everything. I'm like, this guy would have been like a living legend. Okay. This
Medal of Honor, the whole bit.
Well, it was a Silver Star and like a few other ones, and
Really?
it was.
Okay.
I was like, I would have heard about this guy. Like, it was so many where it was like I would have heard about him before I would have met him, kind of deal, And at that point, I'm like, this guy's bogus, Everything just kind of, it was just so many things. And so then after the rent check bounced, I'm like, hey, I need to talk with you. So he comes to my apartment, and I'm like, hey, I don't think you're actually in the Navy. And he's like, and he kind of start getting a really darty-eyed, and then he gives me, he's like, well, I got my military ID here. And he gives me a fake military ID. I'm like, are you joking me? It's clearly a fake. So I take a picture of it. I'm like, here you go. I'm like, all right, well, we're going to do this. You never gave us any of the documents for your rental application. I want them now. And so then he ended up giving his pay stubs, which it's called the leave and earnings statement. And he made that up. It was a fabrication, but it was an incredibly good fabrication. I couldn't tell that it was a fake one.
Really?
It was so good.
Wow, this is elaborate stuff here.
Yeah, I mean, this guy obviously spent like 6 hours spending like on this and everything. And what really got me was who has the time to do that? I mean, why are you going through all these elaborate measures to kind of live out this lie? So I thought there was something more to it. So I contacted the authorities. They ended up finding out that he was this is something he had been doing for years.
It's against the law.
Yeah, it is. Well, the stolen valor thing, it's only against the law if, from what I understand, is if you use it for your own personal gain, for like monetary gain. Which he kind of did for which he kind of did for with getting the discount, but not really. What they really nailed him on was making of fake IDs.
Oh, so he did get charged with
that's what he got slammed with. Because if you went around, say in a uniform, and you had a bunch of medals and stuff that weren't yours, I mean, if you just walked around town like that, I mean, I guess it's considered free speech. But if you try to use that, say you falsely have this, you won these awards, and you try to do it for a monetary benefit, then it falls under stolen valor.
What do they call it again?
Stolen valor.
Stolen valor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
wow. What a story.
Yeah. So. Wow.
So what happened? Did he move right out, or?
Oh, he got sent to jail for a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but what happened with the apartment? I mean, how long?
We're like, you got to go, and he left, and then we actually found another couple to move in there. And
wow, what a story!
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And it was the thing that got me was, con men. It's like that's short for confidence, man. I mean, it was just he had the confidence, he had the swagger, and he was able to talk the talk. But it was just, I mean, he took it too far, is what it really was. Right. I mean, he tried to say he was more than he really was, and then it was just too many things piled up that made me really be like, okay, this is bogus.
Yeah, but if you weren't military,
I would have never.
You would have never known.
But the thing that really gets me is, why would he really put himself in a bad position to where, I'm going to live above the apartment of a guy who just got off active duty?
Yeah.
I mean, he's just setting himself up to get like discovered. I mean, think about the balls on him to do that.
Yeah.
Like, don't you think that would be the last place I'd want to move? I was like trying to live this fake fantasy, whatever. I think he was just starting to believe his own lies kind of deal. Because he had been doing it, I guess, for over 20 years.
Really?
Yeah.
An
'Cause-
older guy then.
Oh, yeah. This guy was in his 50s.
Oh, gee, yeah, that's a
Yeah, he was in his 50s. Yeah, and apparently he had been doing this. He got thrown out of the Navy back in the early 80s or something. And then I guess his dad was like in the military, so he didn't have the guts to tell his dad, so he just kept
it going. Next thing you know, the lie keeps
yeah,
going.
it just turns into its own thing.
What
yeah.
does it say about a woman that lives with a guy like that forever?
I don't
mean,
know.
come on. She had to know that he was a
Well,
a
the
fake,
girl
right?
that was living with him only knew him for a few months. And when he finally did get like taken
was outta
away,
here. Yeah.
it was a big surprise to her.
Oh, my
I mean,
gosh.
the thing was, the really funny thing was before he ended up getting arrested and everything, he was saying, "Oh, I'm going to be going on deployment soon." So and so it's like, wait, if you're going, where are you going?
Yeah.
You know, you're not actually in the Navy. Wait, if you're going on deployment, meaning you're going to go somewhere for 7 months.
Right. Where?
Where are you going? Like, I think what he was probably doing was he's probably scamming the woman that's living with him. Is probably going to run off with their money and just
Oh, gosh.
disappear or something.
What a
I mean,
nightmare.
yeah.
Well, I'm glad you caught up with him.
Oh
That's-
yeah,
that's
I mean
horrible.
it's no, what the heck?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even believe it. Like I tell that story to people, and they're like, "That happened."
That
And I'm like,
happened.
yeah, that happened.
That's a great
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, in my own house.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
Yeah, really.
Well, you know, it teaches you one lesson, and especially if you're in the landlord business, you know that everybody's got to be screened.
Screen.
Yeah.
I mean, I cannot emphasize that enough. I mean, the one time we did it, I mean, we learned a hard lesson.
The internet's a wonderful place
Oh, it
to
is.
check on people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, without a doubt. So it's and you know, anytime we hire a new employee at the home inspection office or whatever, my wife usually does all the screening stuff, and she's out on Facebook checking their Facebook
Yep.
page and their Twitter
Yep.
accounts and all that stuff, and
Yep.
you know, it's great.
Yep.
So, and it kind of reminds me of a story. I represent, as a home inspector, I have a couple of clients that live in California, and they just buy apartment buildings around here.
Yep.
And they buy them by looking online. They buy them looking at the pictures.
No, I've had that a lot. I have a lot of out of state, even out of country investors
Yeah.
who
And-
invest in Rochester.
They call me and they say, call a real estate guy and set up an inspection, inspect it for me, send me
yeah.
the report and whatever. And I was in this one house in downtown Rochester, and I met, it was a 12-unit apartment building, an old building. You know, there's a million of them down there.
Oh yeah.
And the rents are, $300 or $400 a month or something like that.
Yep.
I mean, it's not a,
It's not there. It's
not a high
It is
end
what
thing.
it is.
Right.
Yeah.
But the building was in somewhat of a huge state of disrepair. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when landlord folks sell their properties.
Yeah,
is when
exactly.
they've milked the
Yeah,
living
they've
hell out
gotten
of them.
every
Yeah, they
little
squeezed
last
it, right?
dollar. They're not going to put anything into the maintenance of it. They don't care.
Yeah.
Just give me the rent.
And that's when you find these things up for sale, when they need new furnaces and there's 12
new
furnaces.
roof.
You know,
Yeah.
and new roof and whatever. So I'm I met with the guy that owns the building, and he's a swarmy little dude. I mean, he's just whatever. Okay, but he's the one letting me in the apartment.
Yeah.
We go in this one apartment, and there's a woman laying on the living room floor.
What?
And just laying there, and there's a couple other people sitting around. And the guy goes off on the guy that rented the apartment. He was also sitting there. And he goes, "I told you to get that crack whore out of here." And it apparently was
classy joint.
yeah,
here.
really. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm stunned. And she's laying there, and I'm looking at her, and I go, is she okay? I mean, I'm not going to be in an apartment where somebody's laying there dead.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not.
gone.
That's not going to happen to me. I'll go right downstairs.
Exactly.
And call 911. And so he goes up to her and he starts kicking at her, and then she made some noise and whatever. And I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm out of
Done.
here. This
Wash
is
my hands of
craziness.
this. Yeah.
But it's like anything else. You run into those types of things that whenever I think that I'm the best that ever lived at what I do, and I've seen everything, I turn around and something brand new happens to me.
Oh yeah.
So it's
fate is going to put you back in your place.
Exactly.
Exactly. I've seen that time and time again in life.
I've had so many weird experiences, especially with animals.
I gotta hear this.
Went up
I gotta hear this.
a stairway to an attic area, and it was finished off, little knee walls, and my
Yep.
my 70-year-old lady's client is right behind me, and there's a door at the top of the stairs that goes into the knee wall area, and I open it. Out runs this giant silver squirrel out around me, between me and her, back in the hole. Scared the living
It just didn't even know what
crap
to
out of me.
do. Yeah.
Right. So I close the door real quick, and then I'm going, and you hear him. He's running around in there, and then at the end of this thing was a hole to the outside, and he right out, jumped on a tree, and left. But it goes to show you that the varmints can get in anywhere.
Oh yeah.
I climbed up on a relatively low pitch roof, maybe a 3.5, 412 pitch on a ranch, and my client insisted on coming up the ladder with me. So I get up there, and there's this big long chimney, 3 feet wide and 8 feet long, massive a brick chimney, but only maybe 3 or 4 feet above the top of the roof. So I go up there, and there's like 4 flues in there, and he's right there. The roof's covered with antennas and guy wires and all stuff.
And like satellite dishes.
Right, the whole
all
9
that.
yards.
Yeah.
And I shine my flashlight down into the chimney, and up is coming this mother raccoon about 80 miles
It's like
an hour.
kissing at you or anything.
You remember that movie Alien?
Yeah, where
those
the
things
aliens
are
crawling
they're
through the
coming down the
fence.
ceiling.
Yeah, he
That's what it was.
He looks open over the ceiling
nuts.
tile. He opens it up, and then the aliens are coming at him. Yeah.
Well, the mother raccoon scared the living crap out of me, and I backed up. My client was too close. He fell over. I turned and was running for the ladder, and I tripped over a guy wire. It was so funny. But, that's it. We run into a lot of animals. And
I believe it.
and some of
Especially when you go into those attics or something else or basement. Yeah, you're going to run into something.
people get. I like my own space, like
It's like arm's length.
yeah,
Arm's
right,
length.
right. And some people like to, they got to be right there or whatever. Okay, fine.
Yeah, some people, they come into your
Right.
zone, and it's like, hey, I'm feeling uncomfortable,
I take. I usually start on the outside of a house and work the outside, and then climb the roof. And then I head into the garage, and then into the basement. So one of the first things I do in the basement is, especially if it's in cold weather, is I fire up the furnace. So I go into this house, and I fire up the furnace, and I'm down in the basement, and it didn't smell right, and everybody's down there. The father-in-law's there. There's 5 or 6 people down there, and something just didn't seem right. So I get out my carbon monoxide detector, and boom, off goes the alarm.
Oh, no.
400 parts per million carbon monoxide, and I'm screaming, "Everybody out! 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 Out!" So I go running upstairs, and it was about 200 parts per million CO on the first floor.
What?
It's a mess. So I went outside, got fresh breath, came back in, opened all the windows, the back door, the front door.
Were people living in this place?
No, it was a vacant house.
Oh, I was about to say. Oh,
Yeah.
that's.
But it only took, that furnace might have been running for 6 or 7 minutes before there was that much carbon monoxide.
Was it
First,
just not venting out, or?
the vent was completely plugged solid by bird nests.
Oh, jeez.
And the other component of it is it was an old furnace from the early 80s.
Yeah.
And those are natural draft furnaces and not a
Oh,
fan-induced
okay.
draft. And once you let them go without cleaning and maintenance, they are burning so dirty that there's such a production of carbon monoxide.
So that just builds up super quickly,
Right.
before you even
right.
realize it.
400 parts per million, you can wind up very much in the hospital.
Oh, wow. Good thing you had good spider senses.
Oh,
there.
my
I mean,
God.
that could have been bad news. Were you weren't? It was just you, or there's somebody else with you?
No, it was just me
you-
doing the home inspection, but there was a whole bunch of other people that were my clients.
I see.
It was one of those deals where the realtor opened the door and left.
Yeah, they're like, oh
And
yeah,
he
good
didn't
luck,
want to
buddy.
die,
Yeah.
so.
He's like, yeah, good luck, buddy.
So I'm standing there and I'm thinking, now, okay, what am I going to do? I'm not going back into this building where there's any CO to it. I'm in a house frequently where the occupants of the house smoke cigarettes, right?
Yep.
And I can go in a house like that, turn on my carbon monoxide detector, and there's 15 to 20 parts per million carbon monoxide.
And there was 400
just
in that
from
basement.
the cigarettes. Yeah, and it was 200 on the first
That
floor.
puts it a little more in perspective for somebody who doesn't necessarily know, okay, what's a part
Yeah.
per million kind of deal. I could see now exactly what you're talking about.
It is the table is pretty bad headaches at 200, 300 you're really sick and diaphoretic. You're sweating like crazy.
Yep.
At 400 you can lose.
Oh, you could just
consciousness.
black out.
Yeah. 5, 6, 7, you're in bad trouble. 1,000, you're dead.
Oh, yeah.
You're dead quick.
Oh, jeez.
And, that's a tough thing that gets in every cell in your body and it really messes you up. So that's why we preach cleaning and maintenance of stuff.
Exactly.
So
many people they think they could get a house or whatever, and it's kind of, there you go, done, wash my hands. But it's like, no. It's just not quite like that. It's always maintenance.
It's always the older furnace that runs amok, too, because I remember once I was in a house. My client was 80 years old, nice little old lady. Why she was buying a house at that point instead of assisted living or some one of those beautiful senior apartments or whatever is beyond me. But some people are extremely independent. And
she wanted like a one floor, like a ranch or something.
And that's what it was.
Yeah.
She was a very feisty, fun, friendly, I could joke around with her, whatever. So I go down in the basement. We're down there and I'm doing my thing and, water penetration and plumbing and whatever. So I fire up the furnace and I got to go upstairs, turn the furnace up and then go back down.
Yep.
So I go up, hit the thermostat, turn it up. I go back down. I open the panel to the front of the furnace, and the whole thing's on fire.
Oh, no.
I mean, just flames shooting out like crazy.
Boy.
So she's standing there, and I go, I'll be right back. So I ran upstairs to turn the thermostat down, and she thought I was leaving her there, right?
Yeah.
So she's halfway back up.
What are you doing, Jim?
Right. She's halfway back up the stairs. And I go running past her again, and I'm down there, and I have a fire extinguisher in my truck, and I'm going all over the thing with a fire extinguisher and whatever. It was just so badly out of calibration and had sooted up so bad that the flames rolled out the front, caught the wiring on fire. What a mess.
Oh, boy.
Absolute mess. So
I had another interesting story. I had a lead for a buyer. I got it through Zillow. We advertised on Zillow once, and we got this buyer through there. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we want to view this place, and it's on Lockbox, so it's pretty easy to. If it's on Lockbox, it's pretty easy to
anybody
show
can go
it.
there.
Yeah,
sure.
anybody can go there. So just call up the listing agent." And I hadn't met these people yet, and so now we're meeting them at this house, and it's me and my wife. We're there, and since it was kind of later, it was like later in the evening, like we both went, and. So the couple shows up, and you could tell they've been drinking, like they've been day drinking.
I love that
hard.
when my clients are hammered.
Yeah,
I just love
day
it.
drinking hard. I mean, they're like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Yeah.
Slurring their words, stumbling. Oh my God! And so I'm sure they're walking through the place, looking around. One of them, puts in a cigarette, lights it. I'm like, just put it out. I'm just meeting these people. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
You don't just walk into a house and start smoking.
Just go outside. Just go outside, please. And well, so that was really interesting.
That's great.
We're really they actually turned out to be like we did a follow-up meeting with them. And they're like,
when they were
we're
sober.
sorry. Yeah. They're like, they were so apologetic. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh, blah, blah, blah. We're still looking for a place. We'd like for you guys to help us. And I'm like,
that's great stuff.
all right, sure. Yeah, no problem. And they turned out to be good clients.
I've had clients show up 3 sheets to the wind. It's just, you wonder though, if it's a 9 o'clock in the morning appointment, what are they appointment? What are they doing? Did
they just party through the night?
Yeah.
Or did they just start that morning?
One of the best radio broadcasts my partner John and I ever had was a party where we were out all night and then went right to the studio.
Right there.
Don't remember much of it, but it was a good.
It was made for good radio.
Yeah, it was
made for good radio.
Yeah.
So. That's interesting. But I think those were probably the first two that come to mind.
We'll have to schedule another segment on stories. I got a million more of them, and
me
so
too.
do you. So.
Oh yeah.
But we want to thank everybody for listening to this houseatwork.com Home Repair Clinic podcast. If you'd like to participate in the program, we would encourage you to write in. We have an email address, which Peter's going to give you.
Yeah, just send us any questions to contact us at houseatwork.com.
There you go. We'll see you next time here on the houseatwork.com podcast.